All right, everyone, welcome to another morning show. Hopefully, y'all have been well in the meantime while I've been just living life here. Feels like there's been a little bit of a shift. Now, I got a couple things on my mind quick. It has been too damn cold to be doing morning shows. That's what I decided. It's freezing today, but it's going to be warmer. Wanted to touch base. One thing I do for a living is test things. One thing I do for a career is test software. Worked in IT for a long time, blah, 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 blah. Can't give you my whole backstory to round this in. But one thing I find fun to do is analyze the patterns and the biostatistics involved in software testing of any kind. And it doesn't need to be software testing, but I'm giving you from a little bit of a perspective angle here. One, I beta test video games because it satisfies a nostalgic pastime for me, as well as gives me a sociological biostatistical insight, right? What that does, it allows me to come back and apply another layer on it of what's going on in the world. How do all of the other systems, right? Because if you're talking about software, you're talking about a system of information, if you must put it in perfect terminology here, instead of just getting the point and going with the flow. You take these information systems and then you apply this biostatistics around them, and you can start to paint. You can see patterns. You can paint a bigger picture, a broader overview. And then you can see what patterns match. What I've been experiencing lately goes back to a time that I wrote about in my book, but I didn't necessarily say in my book. But when I was just chilling with Style one day, he would repeat something like a few times, you know. It wasn't just one day. This was like something he would say, not super often, but often enough to where it was like, okay, it feels like I thought about it several times. And what he would say is, we'll be able to fly. We'll be flying. Something like that. Like, in reference to the future, you and I will be flying. And I had several experiences with him. One was I wrote about and retold you guys about when he was trying to float when I was driving. And what was interesting, how this comes back and relates to right now, is yesterday I had a dentist appointment. And for the last, I'm combining a lot of subjects here, and for the last 5 to 8 years, my upper neck, my upper thoracic has been stuck as kind of one, and I haven't had much mobility up there. I'm still able to do a lot of athletic things and stuff, but that upper area just fucking stuck, right? And so having that pain and stiffness for so long, and now I'm on the outro of that, the exit of that, I'm on the healing, the mending part of that, where now I'm getting this movement restored and this feeling. And it's to make a long story short here, I was sitting in the dentist office yesterday, in the waiting part, and I'm sitting in this chair, and normally it would be man, I gotta find a comfy spot. This chair is gonna make my neck even more stiff. And instead it was I'm looking up at the ceiling and looking outside and just sitting here with not really that much pain, but still this, you can tell the upper that area is still like just so used to being stiff, where it's like it's still stiff, but it doesn't have a lot of pain. So it's this weird kind of spot. But the mental experience that I was having, it was so familiar that it brought me right back to where I first really started to separate the fact that, look, my existence here is not my physical experience, right? My physical being is not why I'm here. It's more like, no, my spirit is here, my soul is here. And it's like sort of centered in this physical being, like I'm experiencing it through all the tools that this physical being has. My eyesight, my senses, all of this. But it's like perceiving it and having understood like this disconnect where it's like, well, there's an extra layer here that it's like I was feeling sitting in the dentist's office, and this wasn't the first time, but I was having this feeling where it's like, now I just feel like I'm floating here. Like my energy is just right here and like putting all these things together, and it's like you sort of have this extrasensory experience, not necessarily out of body, because you're like aware, you're still feeling your body, like the dentist was cleaning my teeth. So it's like I'm still having to, thought process and physical, and then right thought, right action, thought process into action, while maintaining this feeling that it's like I'm kind of just, you can put this almost on autopilot, let it do its thing, and I can like be listening to other conversations and thinking about what else is going on in the room, and this entire other spectrum of thought, right? So it was like, I think back to when he was saying, we'll be flying. And I'm just like, it almost feels like I am right now. And on top of that, I want to describe, like, I'll have moments where it's like I come back to my body where it's like, because I haven't had this like mobility in a while, so my balance I'll twist and I'll be like, oh, okay, wait, and myself will kind of like, it feels like you're on a roller coaster. When you're going down, you come up and over, and you got that like, bit of excited feeling up in your stomach. It's all like whelmed up there and it feels good. Almost like mid-laughter. It feels like that when I sort of like sink back into my body and be like, oh yeah, okay, we'll turn and feel how much more fluid I can just move. It puts me like back to that state where it was like when I was learning meditation, and I was really like, I could get a long ways in my thoughts and really like have an out of body experience. I wrote about some of them, and one of the things that always held me back was I couldn't fucking sit there comfortably for like, you'd see some people, they'd sit there for 2 hours and they wouldn't fucking move. It's like, I can't do that. Like, I remember this issue was like this gal named Mira. She was a yoga specialist, and her name was Mira, right? What? Along with the girl who was named Bliss down there. It was like, come on, wake up. Like, everything down there was like, wake up, wake up, wake up. Like, something is happening here. And that's why I was there. I was seeking, like, wait, what the fuck is going on here? I feel like I'm back to that mentality. Not just like back to that mentality, but back to that like feeling. Because the body has been like either distracted, one, with with a, love relationship. So men can totally get distracted from their train of thoughts with like being in a relationship. So that's one thing that's like can be difficult to maintain center and balance and like self-awareness again. Like I'm kind of trying to describe to you, but like extrasensory awareness. There's more going on here. Like floating fine. I feel like I'm just back. Yeah, I just feel like that again, and now I actually feel like, okay, well, I was describing how my posture issue was like, and Mira, she would, when we were laying there, like during these stretching and like just kind of sort of thought guided stretching, right? She came and like pushed down on my shoulders when I was laying flat on my back. Like, hey, your shoulders aren't like, they should be held back further. Like, and the reason for that was posture during school, like having to sit in a desk that was too big for me and also uncomfortable. I would end up slouching forward. It's not correct posture. Sitting in desk is not fucking right. So while I've been beta testing software, been doing a lot of beta testing software lately, whether it's a video game or whether it's for work or whether it's just something else for fun. While I'm sitting there, I can like further sink into it, and like I've been describing, it's been an interesting experience. So back to the point of like, has there been this like shift where right when I completed my book, it's like the whole fucking world, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get myself set up, I'm gonna travel the country, have a remote job, and I'll go and talk to people, as many people as I can, and try to promote this book. Right when I was ready for that, it was like, boom, COVID hit. And right before I was finished with the book, it was like something happened where I moved from the West Coast back to the Midwest, where it was like just 6 months before COVID came through or whatever it was, and was like, hey, everybody locked down, all this bullshit. Like, wear a mask everywhere. I would probably had to move at that point, because I would have been like, fuck the West Coast and all your stupid fucking bullshit fascism. Now, with the election, all this and that, and people, like the whole kind of like shift, the red wave or whatever, and the political result, people waking up to the food system being, there's just like this shift right now where it's not like things have necessarily changed course, but there's been a shift of gear. And I feel like people down geared and up geared at the same time. Like there's been a split shift in their mind almost. I talk about this with my buddy sometimes, like he has this way of being like, he's like people's gears, they just won't fucking turn. He's like, you can see them there and you can talk them through all these things, and you can get them right to that point, but you see that their gears just won't fucking turn. And oh man, the video game I've been testing lately is called the video game company is Grinding Gear Games, and I'm telling you, if you're like a truther and you've gone through like, there's been mud floods and giants and like we don't live in a spinning ball, like this video game has like little hints of that throughout the campaign, where it's almost like they're sort of dropping this right in front of your face with that kind of stuff. And the storyline is actually, it's almost directly right, like it's like you're sort of reading a part out of the Bible or something. It's very like, it has that, there's this ultimate evil, and well, maybe the ultimate evil was created for a good reason, but now it's out of control, and even the ultimate evil, it's like, well, shoot, I created something that like I can't even control, and I might need your help to actually defeat it. So it's like the forces of good and evil have to sort of come together to like defeat something. Like, what? You know, layers on layers on layers. It's like that's it the patterns fit this whatever sort of reality landscape that we've been taught and told, or told to be taught and taught to be told, and also all of the alternative history, all fitting into that, all the alternative. It's very interesting how all, it's like, come on, all these patterns match, or is there an overlay? Is there a level of something that is overlaid on whatever's happening here? Or several overlays, right? All right, what was the last thing I wanted to talk about? It was that. My mouth's getting a little I don't know, I'm getting to the point where we're about like on the inskirts of town, and maybe I just want to like look around and flip my neck back and forth because I can. All right, yeah, the backflip goal has been set. I do hope to be able to do a backflip by my birthday next year, which is late October. That house of Scorpio, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but that's going to be the goal. I hope to be able to do it, or at least like in the process of learning it, like where I'm actually I might even have to go to one of the gymnastics academies and just whenever they have their open flip time, just so I think might even give you lessons too, like, hey, teach me how to backflip. So, all right, I hope y'all have that day you deserve, and I'll catch you in the next one.